providing opportunities for the children of God. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Good evening, everyone. All of the Moment of Truth listeners out there. We are live. Today is Wednesday, November 20th. We have a lot to get to this evening. As you all may know, I was not on last week. There was a sports event going on, so we're just truly happy to be back, and it's really a blessed opportunity to be able to speak with you this evening. But as I stated, we have a few topics to get to. Lots been talking about with Mr. Jeffery Epstein. I want to get to him a little towards the end of the show, right before the final truths. But I also want to take some time and speak about a topic that's avoided in our society. I'm speaking of mental illness. Now, there are several types of mental disorders that society we tend to lump together. But for those of you who are living with a mental illness, you know that each one presents its own challenge. Now, the first one we're going to speak of today is anxiety. Anxiety is the fear of part of life. A lot of people deal with fear. If you're starting something new or something that you're unsure of, fear sometimes can take over, but that's not the full extent of what anxiety is. Now, the type of anxiety I'm speaking of is the kind that does not stop or is not caused by specific situations. For millions of people in the United States, the anxiety does not go away, and it gets worse over time. It may come with chest pains as well as nightmares. Some people are affected where they're even afraid to leave their own home. Now, the next mental disorder that we're speaking of, I just have a few I'm going to get to. Anxiety is one. It's one of the leading ones. The next one I'm speaking of is depression disorder. Depression is a serious medical illness. It's not just as simple of someone maybe feeling sad or quote unquote blue for a few days, but it's a feeling of emptiness, a loss of interest in your favorite activities, overeating or not wanting to eat at all, not being able to sleep, maybe sleeping too much, feeling tired, feeling hopeless, irritable, or guilty. A lot of time it comes along, you have aches and pains throughout your bodies. You have headaches, you may have cramps or digestive problems. Some people, it even leads to thought of suicide. Now, depression can happen at any age, but it often begins with young adults and teenagers. It is much more common in women. Women also get postpartum depression after the birth of a baby. Now, that is horrible. Those two are two things right now that are really putting the hurting on our society. The next one I want to speak of is post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, this one is really overlooked. You can get post-traumatic PTSD after seeing a traumatic event such as a war, some sort of natural disaster like a hurricane. A lot of people experience it after a sexual assault or physical abuse. PTSD makes you feel stressed and afraid that the danger is over. It affects your life as well as the people around you. PTSD can cause problems like flashbacks, trouble sleeping or nightmares, or feeling alone, even angry outbursts. PTSD starts at different times for different people. Signs of PTSD may soon start after a frightening event and then continue. Other people develop new or more severe signs of PTSD years later. Now, those are the ones that are talked about. I got this information from an official government website. If you have our podcast. If you're subscribed to it, I have all the links to the information that I read available so that you can read them and hopefully share them with other people you may come in contact with. But the last mental disorder that I believe that is not really categorized throughout our society, and in my opinion is the most severe over time. It can strike at any time, and it's called hating. Hating has been around since the beginning of time. Its ugly, vile roots can always be traced back to one evil spirit, no matter the situation: Lucifer. When you think about the stories in the Bible, which we all know and love, everyone from the situation between Cain and Abel to even King Saul and David, it was hatred which caused them to act on impulse and commit unthinkable sins. But hatred isn't always so noticeable that it arouses suspicion. I want you all to remember that Satan is sneaky, and he uses the ones closest to us to plant seeds of hate. Now, it may be a quick, simple statement that you may hear. I'm pretty sure 100% of you out there have heard this statement that someone says, "You can't do that," or "That's not possible." That is a form of hating. Now, that may come from somebody, that a loved one, a mother, a father, a cousin, or a brother. Now, those statements right there, someone telling you what you can't do, is a sign of control. You know, people get upset when they can't control the situation, especially over your life. And we all have a calling from the Lord, but people that do not take the time to get to understand their calling, they're going to hate on you and try to destroy what you do. In reality, if they took the time to sit back and think, they could themselves find a way to live out their destiny, live out their calling. Now, in the words of Jesus Christ, darkness and light cannot coexist. Jesus said it himself in John chapter 8, verse 12. "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." Now let's take it to the simplest terms. When you walk in a room, a dark room, and you cut on the light, the darkness goes away. So it is impossible to have light and dark in the same place at the very same time. Now, when you start noticing it and you start taking time away and you see people saying destructive things like you can't do something, or you're not good enough to do it, or you will never achieve that, you need to sit back and you need to listen to the words that I'm saying right now. It cannot coexist. You may say, "Oh, that's my friend, that's my mom, that's my relative, they love me, so they're saying these things." No, there's no love in evil. Evil is its own entity. There's no way for the two to coexist. You need to stop making excuses, because those people are poisoning you slowly, that you are feeling incompetent, that you are feeling incomplete. So you need to sit back, you need to study those things, and you need to realize that everyone is not for you. You know, you don't have to sit back and appease anyone. Your main goal is appeasing our Heavenly Father, Jesus Christ, and you do that by following in the path that He has laid out for you, simply. Now, a lot of times people, they hate on you with jealousy and envy. It's because they won't ask a simple question. Simple word, really, how? I'll use my example. How are you making great decisions? That's one thing they can ask you. How were you able to get through that situation unbothered? That's another question people just won't ask. How can I be like you? Or how do I get the favor of Jesus Christ on my life? So the next time, some of you out there, you may have been upset or angry at someone else for getting a promotion that you did not, for taking a trip that you weren't able to afford, for getting a role in a play or a book or something that you did not receive. Don't get upset with them. Just ask them these simple questions. And a lot of times you need to stop and you need to pray. I have a simple prayer for you right now. So the next time you get angry over a situation and you want to react, just stop and repeat these words. Lord Jesus, I need you, Father. Please remove this hatred out of my heart and replace it with love. Now, I guarantee you, when you say that, you will receive all the answers that you seek, and you too will start receiving the favor of Jesus Christ on your life. Now, I am going to take a few minutes, a short, brief break, but when I come back, as I promised, I'm going to speak on this nonsense with Jeffrey Epstein from a different perspective. But thank you and continue listening. I forgot to say phone calls. I'm sorry.
Oh, shoot.
Don't worry about it. I'm about to get. Love you.
Love you too. You need something else? Okay. Hey, you doing really good.
All right, we are back. Now, this I'm pretty sure, unless you've been living under a rock, you've heard the name Jeffrey Epstein. These last couple months or so, I believe, I took some time to try to figure out who he was. I did a little research, nothing in depth or nothing out of the way, because I'm not going to waste my time too much on it, and you're going to hear why. He was a financier. That's a funny word, financer. But he was a convicted pedophile, and he was in prison facing another charge of molesting children. And you've been hearing a lot of people, the things that have been getting me upset is people are making excuses for this man, saying that he did not kill himself. My thing is, why does it matter? The guy was a convicted pedophile. Why are people making excuses? They make the memes, they get on the radio, and they get on the Twitter, and they want to say these things. I don't know if they're looking for attention or what the situation is. Maybe they're pedophiles and they don't want to come out and say it. Maybe they're upset because they feel the wall's closing in on them. Now, I want to start with it's a Congressman, Paul Gosar. Excuse me if I'm saying his name wrong. He's in Arizona. Now, this guy is an elected official, but he took time out of his day and sent a series of 23 tweets defending Jeffrey Epstein. 23 tweets. Now, this guy's making decent money. He's an elected official, but he's taking time to speak on this issue. I'm pretty sure there's something else going on that's more important that we need in this country. We need you help running the country. Now this other name right here, it's another guy. You all heard of it, Mr. Rush Limbaugh. This guy has been speaking about it. I actually have some quotes from him. Quote, I have read and I have talked to people who've been in these cells. They're 8 to 9 feet tall. That's how high the ceiling is. There's nothing. The sheets on the bed are practically made of paper. They are not made to bear the weight necessary to break someone's neck. Now, my thing is, Mr. Rush Limbaugh, you're one of the biggest names in radio. You have millions of listeners all around the world, around the country, and you're taking time to spread this nonsense. Do you have something to hide? Why is this an issue? This guy is no longer alive. He was not helping society at all. Now, this last person I want to speak of, who has also been talking about Mr. Jeffery Epstein, and you all may know him. Just so you don't think I'm picking on Republicans or I'm picking on people with conservative points of views, this guy is a known liberal. Mr. D.L. Hughley, the radio DJ, when shortly after Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell, he had a quote that he sent over his social media. He said, Jeffrey Epstein, and I quote, Jeffrey Epstein, a friend of Trump, who was in custody for multiple charges of sex trafficking and pedophilia, is dead due to an apparent suicide. All I know is he had a lot of secrets to tell about a lot of people in connection to those charges. Now, this is bigger than Republican and Democrat. Why are these people so persistent and so fixated on him not killing himself and not the crimes at hand? These people, Jeffrey Epstein made his decision. He was a billionaire or somewhere close to it, and he got to the point where he felt he can do whatever he wanted without any repercussions. And he found out that that was not true. He was going to do his time, and now everyone is making excuses for him. Don't forget that the reason he was in jail, because he did not make good decisions. He was not a good person. Now, I want you to think about these people that I read. Mr. Gosar, the Congressman from Arizona, Mr. D.L. Hughley, and Mr. Rush Limbaugh. Call them up. They have some of the biggest shows in media. Ask them, why are you all so fixated on trying to say it was someone else who killed this man? This man did that to himself. Now, that's all the time I want to spend on that. Mr. Jeffrey Epstein, I wouldn't care if I never say his name again or hear anything else about him.